In investing, you get what you don't pay for. That is the famous quote by John Bogle, founder of Vanguard. And for that reason, one of the most important factors when deciding between ETFs and funds in general is the fees they charge. Over the past decade, competition between providers has driven costs lower and lower for UK and European investors. And unlike years ago, there's really no need to be jealous of US investors and their famously cheap ETFs, because we now have plenty of ultra-low-cost options available to us right here in the UK. Today, I'm going to run through the cheapest ETFs available across some of the most popular categories for UK investors, like the FTSE 100, S&P 500, developed markets, global funds, and even the Nasdaq 100. When I say for UK investors, I mean looking at ETFs that trade in GBP, so there'll be no FX fees to pay if you hold pounds in your account. Many of these ETFs, if not all, will also have listings in euros as well, and you can use a website like Just ETF to find the ticker. Now, before we dive in, just a quick reminder that all the ETFs I'll be talking about are UCITS funds. That's the European regulatory standard, which means they come with strong investor protections, clear rules around diversification, and safeguards on how your money is handled. For the most part, we can't invest in US domiciled funds you hear Americans talk about, like VOO, SPY, and SCHD, hence why I don't mention them. So, why do fees matter so much? Quite simply, every pound you pay in fees is a pound less that can't compound in your portfolio. To give an example, imagine you invest £500 every month for 40 years and achieve an 8% annualized return before fees. If your ETF charges 0.1% annually, you'd end up with about £1.58 million. But if you go with a higher fee ETF charging 0.4%, you'd finish up with about £1.46 million. That's a difference of 120k, purely from fees. And if you compare a low-cost ETF at 0.1% with a typical UK actively managed fund at 0.75%, the difference is even more staggering, at a colossal 250k less in your portfolio after 40 years, assuming the same 8% annual return before fees. Of course, it's also possible to get too obsessed with fees. Chasing the absolute cheapest option and constantly switching can backfire. Cheapest doesn't mean best, and these are definitely not recommendations. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not investment advice. This is simply a run-through of the cheapest ETFs available today based on their total expense ratios, or TERs. Please always do your own further research and consult with a financial advisor if unsure about anything. ETF fees have been trending lower for two main reasons. First up, competition between providers. Providers are constantly battling for investor inflows, and lowering fees is one of the easiest ways to attract people. Of note, the competition, fee cuts, and new funds launched in recent years has resulted in Vanguard being far from the cheapest provider in a number of ETF categories. It'll be interesting to see if they cut fees or just rely on brand loyalty and recognition going forward. The second reason is through saving costs on index licensing. Some providers like Amundi use selective indexes instead of FTSE or MSCI. Whilst it's not immediately clear how much cheaper they are, it does seem that Selective charges lower licensing fees, and therefore Amundi can offer ETFs at rock-bottom TERs. Now, TER is just one piece of the puzzle. A low fee doesn't guarantee the best outcome. You also need to consider fund size, replication method, bid-offer spread, and tracking difference. That last one is especially important. An ETF with a slightly higher fee can actually deliver better returns than a cheaper one if it tracks the index more closely. I'll make a dedicated video on tracking error soon, so make sure to subscribe if you want to catch that. And if you'd like help comparing ETFs for yourself, my free ETF cheat sheet makes it really simple to find and compare funds. I'll leave a link in the description. Just sign up for my newsletter, confirm your subscription, and it'll be in your inbox straight away. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the categories. First up, we have the FTSE 100, the index that tracks 100 of the largest companies listed on the London Stock Exchange. There's surprisingly not that much choice when it comes to ETFs for this index, but the cheapest as of recording is the iShares Core FTSE 100 ETF. The tickers are ISF for the distributing version and CUKX for the accumulating version. It has a total expense ratio of 0.07%. There's not too much more to say about this one, other than it is a fund that's been around for a long time and provided by one of the largest asset managers in the world. Next up, we have S&P 500 ETFs. The S&P 500 tracks 500 of the leading companies listed in the USA and is undoubtedly one of the most popular categories of ETFs, as it contains the leading tech giants and has delivered great returns in recent history. Although, of course, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. For this category, the fees are super cheap. We now have ETFs charging just 0.03% TER, like the Spider S&P 500 ETF. The tickers are SPX5 distributing and SPXL accumulating. This year, we've also seen the UBS slash the fees on their S&P 500 ETFs from 0.09% to 0.03% to match the SPDR offer. The tickers for their ETFs are UC13 distributing and S5UA accumulating. Next, we're taking a look at developed markets ETFs. These are geographically diversified ETFs that usually contain stocks from around 20 to 25 developed markets countries. They are market cap weighted, so the US usually has around a 70% weighting. But that is just a consequence of the highest value companies currently being listed in the US. If things change, then developed markets ETFs will rebalance accordingly. In this category, the absolute cheapest at the moment is the Amundi Prime Global ETF. It has the ticker MWOZ distributing, and there is no accumulating version listed in GBP. The total expense ratio is a super low 0.05%. There are a couple of things to note here. Amundi Prime Global previously was listed on the LSE under the ticker PRIW, but Amundi delisted and relaunched it under the new ticker MWOZ. The reason for this was that PRIW was domiciled in Luxembourg, which has a less favourable withholding tax of 30% taken off of US stock dividends. However, MWOZ is now domiciled in Ireland, which results in a US withholding tax of only 15% on US stock dividends. So this relisting was for a good reason, but it did cause problems for some investors as delisting may have led to them having to realise gains or cause other admin and tax issues. For this reason, along with a history of other closures and mergers, some investors are a bit wary of Amundi funds. Another thing to note is that Amundi are able to offer this super low expense ratio because they chose to track the Selective GBS Developed Markets Large and Mid-Cap Index. In practice, this is very similar to the FTSE and MSCI Developed Markets trackers, but as mentioned in the intro, they charge lower licensing fees and thus allow Amundi to give their fund a lower TER. One last thing to note is that with MWOZ, it distributes dividends annually, whereas the industry standard tends to be quarterly. This may not be a problem for you, but just something to be aware of. If you want an accumulating developed markets ETF, the cheapest option I could currently find is the UBS Core MSCI World ETF, ticker WRDA, with a very low 0.06% fee. Now, in this case, UBS are using the MSCI index. So I really do have no idea how they've managed to get fees so low, as the explanation of saving on licensing fees doesn't really apply here. Nonetheless, it's great to see such low fees. Now, moving on to global ETFs containing both developed and emerging markets. These usually contain stocks from around 45 to 50 countries, and again, are market cap weighted, which results in the US having about a 60 to 65% weighting. The same thing applies. This will change if and when things change in the stock market. It reflects the current valuation and location of companies. Global funds like this are popular with investors that like a truly passive approach. Amundi also take the spot for cheapest overall here with the Amundi Prime All Country World ETF. The ticker is PACW distributing, and it does not have an accumulating listing in GBP. The total expense ratio is an incredibly low 0.07%. A lot of the same caveats apply. It's a relatively new ETF, having been launched in February this year. It tracks a selective index, although this works almost identically to the indexes from most well-known providers, and it does pay out dividends annually rather than quarterly. If you prefer an accumulating option, the current cheapest ETF is the SPDR MSCI All Country World Index ETF. This has the ticker ACWI. The total expense ratio is 0.12%, having been cut from 0.4% in August last year. The MSCI All Country World Index is MSCI's version of the FTSE All World, which new investors may be more familiar with. The last category I'll look at is the NASDAQ 100 ETFs. This index contains the top 100 non-financial companies listed on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. Again, it's market cap weighted, so the top 10 do dominate the list. In particular, the Magnificent 7 have a very significant weighting at the moment. There has been an exciting launch from UBS in March this year, which now takes the spot as the cheapest NASDAQ 100 ETF for UK investors. The tickers are QQQE for distributing and QQQA for the accumulating version. The total expense ratio comes in at 0.13%. Now, this may seem quite high compared to what we've seen so far, but it's worth noting that, for whatever reason, NASDAQ 100 ETFs have tended to have higher fees, with one of the most popular options at the moment, the Invesco NASDAQ 100 EQQQ, currently having a fee of 0.3%. So in comparison to that, this UBS option seems very cheap. As with any new fund, the potential downside to consider is that the fund size may be quite small. This could impact liquidity and bid-offer spread in the short term. However, this should improve as the fund gains popularity. So that's a run through of the current cheapest UCITS ETFs across a range of categories. However, we already established that lowest total expense ratio doesn't necessarily mean best. Low fees are great, but there are hidden costs and other factors to weigh up. Let's take switching as an example. Imagine you currently hold an ETF charging 0.07% and you switch to one charging 0.05%. On paper, you're saving 0.02 percentage points per year. But if you lose 0.1% in trading costs because of the bid-offer spread, it may take you a number of years to benefit from any TER cost saving. That's why obsessing over fees can be counterproductive. Sometimes it's better to stick with a good enough option, especially if you already have a history with it in your portfolio. The big picture here is that we're living in an amazing time for investors. 10 years ago, UK investors were paying far more for global trackers. Now we have S&P 500 ETFs at 0.03% and global funds below 0.1%. Fees are so low that the battleground has shifted. We should always look beyond just fees. Look at tracking quality, bid-offer spreads, platform availability, and most importantly, make sure the ETF suits our personal goals. Cheap doesn't mean right for you. One thing is for sure, and that is the super low fees of tracker ETFs nowadays really highlight how expensive thematic ETFs and niche strategies look in comparison. If you're paying 0.4% plus for a thematic ETF or 0.75% plus for an actively managed ETF, it really needs to work hard to justify the extra cost. Let me know in the comments which ETFs you hold and whether low fees are the main factor in your choice. If you found this useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more ETF breakdowns and investing content. And remember, you can grab my ETF cheat sheet using the link in the description. It'll make your research a whole lot easier. You'll also find the links to my favorite platforms where most of these ETFs are available. Using those links helps support the channel, and you may also receive a sign-up bonus too. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.